Philadelphia, are you ready?
He said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome, everybody, to Brotherly Love Wrestling presents the Essential Series. And today our subject is Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, this one, it is easy, but it's simple at the same time. I think there's not this one. I don't think it's going to be much breaking down, much arguing about. I think we're probably going to be on the same page for majority of this list.
I guess. Well, I guess we'll see.
Okay, so you have the three this time. I have the two.
Three.
So you get to start it off. And I know you said you wanted to throw a wrench in there. I can't wait to see if it's now or you're going to wait till the end.
It won't be. It'll be my second one because
Okay.
I don't know if you're going to pick the one that I think my number one favorite one, but I think will also be his best one.
Okay. Your favorite is his best. What you think?
Yeah, I think it might be my favorite match ever.
Oh wow. Okay.
It might be. It's up there. It's got to be up there. But I'll start it off. All right. I'll use one that I think we used already, but it's one of his best and one of Austin's best.
Okay.
And that's versus The Rock at X7.
Okay. All right. I'm surprised. I thought you were going a different way with that one.
Which one?
No, save it.
Which way did you think I was going to
go somewhere different? But no,
with a different wrestler altogether.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah. Oh, absolutely. X7 is just.
How do you not have an Austin list without having The Rock on it?
Oh, for sure. That had to happen.
Those two were. I mean, it's hard to argue if one would have been as meteoric of a star without the other.
No, you're right. I mean,
does Austin get to that level?
I think Austin does because Austin had McMahon.
Yeah, but how long was that going to be able to run for?
No, you're right. No, yeah.
The history with McMahon will always be there with Austin. It's probably his greatest foe of all time, of his whole career.
Yes.
His greatest foe. Now,
yes.
I don't think it's one of his best matches of all time.
No, not at all. No, that's because Vince McMahon was involved. So no, absolutely not.
But if you were to go storyline for Austin, it's got to be Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
That's kind of like what put him on the map as like the over-the-top babyface.
But like you said, like Rock Austin at 17.
If I'm going for match, like the storyline feud in ring, I'm going Rock Austin.
Absolutely.
That's probably one of the greatest storied feuds.
Yes. Yeah.
So to have an Austin, just like with The Rock, you can't have The Rock on there. Although, did we throw two Austins on there? You could probably make a case for for 2 or 3 Rock matches to be on this list.
Easy. I think so. But I'm going to follow, since you said that the way you said it and his best match and the other person's best match, I'm going to go with my first pick, and it's versus Taker at SummerSlam 98. This match was phenomenal. It was two guys at the very peak level of their career.
Interesting pick.
And not only that, one of my
Taker
favorite.
hasn't made many of our lists.
No, but is definitely one of my favorite Taker matches of all time. One of my favorite Austin matches of all time. I love this match. I love the build. I can still remember AC/DC Highway to Hell playing as they're like everything about it, that nostalgia thing. This match is one of them that just immediately takes me back right there. So, yeah, for sure, I want to make sure this was on the list.
All right. Here's the wrench, because that was kind of a wrench. That's a good pick.
Really?
It's definitely a good pick, but I think now with my pick,
okay,
we're going to leave out. This is where we catch our heat.
Okay.
with my pick. Although he wasn't a major player, and it was before he was Stone Cold Steve Austin. But to go off of nostalgia, and
I already see what you're doing, and I'm worried. But go ahead.
this would be the Dangerous Alliance versus Sting Squadron at Wrestle War. You know what? It might not be one of Austin's greatest matches, but it was a great match that Austin was in, and there was a lot of different storyline in there. And not to mention, it's one of my personal favorite matches. It is legitimately one of my personal favorite matches.
I can't.
And I'm not going to have a Stone Cold match without Sting being in there.
I know.
It was legitimately like a War Games on steroids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, and I don't have a problem with the match. I love that match.
It's a fantastic bloody mess.
I'm praying now. Well, I know I'm getting my next one in, so I'm not worried. But I'm praying the last one you're talking about is the one that I think should be there.
Okay. Now we make it interesting, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we like to do. Fuck with Larry because he always fucks with me with the shit he throws in there.
But I don't think there's any doubt.
Bailey Sasha 2 over Bailey Sasha 1. I hope you're happy. I hope you're proud of what you did.
I don't think there's any surprise of what this next match is going to be. Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 14. At the time, I absolutely hated it. I hated it. I was such a Michaels mark that I couldn't even see.
Were?
Yes. Yeah.
You're not anymore?
Not like that. No. I was so upset. I hated hearing for the next like month, 2 month, 3 months as they start building. I hated hearing the 8-year long. I hated hearing Jim Ross say that. It turned my skin. I hated it so bad. But looking back,
how come they made the list?
Because looking back,
this is like the opposite of nostalgia.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. But I've come to appreciate what that moment meant.
Have you?
How big it was.
It still sounds like you have some bitterness behind you.
No, not at all. I love that moment. Now, actually, I was just watching Meeting Stone Cold on the network, and it's all the people, obviously, the first impression of Stone Cold. So they play Mike Tyson leading up to the WrestleMania. And I watch it happen again. I watch him miss the super kick, caught stunner. Tyson jumps in 1, 2, 3, and it gave me goosebumps. It gave me good goosebumps. So I've gotten over it, but
it is one of the most memorable finishes.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
The Tyson count.
Yes.
Turning his back on
extremely fast count.
Oh, I'm not holding any bitterness or resentment towards this at all. It's all happy goosebumps.
I'm kidding.
Happy goosebumps my ass.
But yeah, that is another one I feel like had to be on there as well. Especially the Stone Cold era has begun. So
we are leaving.
I'm praying you can't. You, out of all people, cannot leave this match off the list.
I hope it's a match that you're thinking that I'm thinking of. I had to get it in there. I had to get this.
You're going to say it. I'm not. You know what? I'm so confident. I feel like you're going to say it.
Interesting.
I'm not even worried.
No, I should pick a different one just for fucking shit.
Just to fuck with me. Yeah, I agree. But I'm 100% confident that you're going to pick.
You think that this is one of my favorite matches of all time, if not my favorite match.
Absolutely.
You know exactly what it is?
Absolutely.
I think you're right.
Usually, that line of questioning is then with, I think you're wrong.
No.
But no, you completely agreed with me.
Yeah, but I set it up really well.
You did. I'll give you that.
I'm a comedic genius.
Anyway, it is
13. WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold, Bret Hart, the original, I think, birth of Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is
well, I mean, I think the birth is King of the Ring.
Well, yeah, but this is like the making.
Guy.
This is the person that gets Austin over with the crowd. This is a double turn. Mm-hmm. It's like one of the only and best.
The greatest, I think, of all time. The greatest double turn of all time.
And when you hear about it after the fact, you appreciate it so much more, which is a lot of things, though. It was appreciated very much when I watched it in the moment. But after you hear like the build and they basically went through the whole match. Like they timed it out perfectly, and Brett put that whole thing together.
The podcast, and I feel like it was Stone Cold's podcast where he had Bret Hart on.
Or was it Ian? Was it Edge and Christian?
You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, because they did that segment breaking the anatomy of the match.
And it was
they
Hart
had Austin.
and Austin.
Yo, if you haven't listened to this podcast,
you should listen to our podcast and not that podcast.
Well, if they're listening to us and I'm talking to them,
yeah, just continue to listen to us. Don't change the channel.
But this podcast has them break down every nook and cranny and time and what they were going to do.
It was one of the most enjoyable podcasts. And I think it was a 2-parter, or it was a long-ass podcast.
Yeah.
Still one of the most enjoyable podcasts I've ever listened to.
Yeah.
Because it is one of the greatest matches of all time.
Absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't get any better. I mean, you can't have this list without that match. I mean, we might have left off maybe a few that probably could have made the list.
Yeah.
You have Do Love, that match, and then that was a great match. That was who was hired? It was Do Love was basically the hired hitman of Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon, yes.
At that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have him versus Angle.
Him versus Angle was another one.
When he was the leader of the Alliance.
Yeah, you had him and Hunter in the 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah, the 3 stages of hell.
Three stages of hell match.
3 stages of hell. That might have made Triple H's list.
Actually, I think you're right.
I think it did. I think it was your pick.
Yeah. I think when I saw that, I was like, do I want to put this on the list? But I think like I said, I think it fell short of those, but it's definitely up there, obviously, because I put it on Hunter's list.
Yeah, and he's another one that had a shit ton of matches. I mean, you really go back and you look at it, and you're like, are they more of a persona than they are a match person? Yeah, probably. I mean, you could probably say that for the better part of anybody in the Attitude Era, with maybe a couple people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got your Bret, Shawn, like guys like that.
Yeah.
That were
had a
they were persona, but they would kill it in the ring.
Yeah, actually, Michaels might have been more of a in match, especially in his later career. He might have been more in match than a persona.
Yes, I agree.
But Austin definitely. I mean, what if you were to rank or you were to pick out the best Stone Cold moments, not matches, but moments, like things that happen
out of the ring?
Like, what are the things that come to mind the most? Like the fucking beer truck.
Oh, yeah.
The beer truck spraying the corporation.
You're right. The corporation, yeah.
Why did it not sound right?
I don't know.
Because I always called him Corporate Rock. I never called him Corporation Rock.
Yeah.
That wouldn't make sense.
But they were the corporation. You're right. Yes.
Then you got the Zamboni.
It's
anything he driving. It's just basically a bunch of things he drove down to the ring. What else did he have?
The cement truck, of course.
The cement truck. It's just him destroying McMahon's limo.
Yeah. The night that he abducted McMahon, and it lasted the entire episode of Raw, where it would just every segment they'd come back and update and update and update and update.
I remember that.
It's just stages of hell of McMahon. And they finally, right at the end, right at the 11 o'clock hour, they get him in the ring. He puts the gun to his head and he pisses himself and it says bang 316. Like it was a Looney Tune episode, just all mashed into him. Like it was so great. And that's
the shit that just wouldn't get over it now. It's just shit that we had more of a personality in the 90s.
It's funny you say that. Again, with the Tyson thing, watching that, right? And I'm watching it happen. And it puts me back into being a kid, watching it happen live on Monday night. And the unbelievability of this happening in front of you.
Complete, because now everyone knows everything and nothing could ever happen.
First of all, that even as a young wrestling fan, that's for show. But when Vince gets out of that ropes and screams, "You ruined it," immediately as a fan going, "Oh shit! Oh shit! Wait, maybe he did mess this up." And just like that, believability. There is zero believability anymore. There are very few things that we come across now in professional wrestling that you go, and look,
35 years old.
But there are things that could get you lost into it where, you might not say that was real, but in your head you go, holy shit. Like it has to take you out of that.
It's more in ring than out of ring, though. I don't lose myself out of ring anymore because you can't emulate what you did in the past because it wouldn't work today. And the things that they do today they're not really.
Well, and let me give you an example of that. What could be today?
Okay.
Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, backstage, that stuff.
They could have made that work.
And that's what I'm saying. Those are the type of things that
we've talked about that in many, many a podcast that we've done, even with ourselves and guests, about how to utilize social media correctly.
Yeah.
And that's how you make it believable. Even because people will jump on board with that. Especially if the fucking dirt sheets and shit get a hold of it and they do their job right and they fucking spread it like wildfire. That's how you get but you have to remember that many people have to be not only active on social media, but watching the product as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And as it's happening in real time, talking about.
Yes.
Not just, but back to Austin.
Yes.
And his unbelievability about doing things. Two things stuck out to me as you were talking.
Okay.
And one is when he beats him with the bedpan in the hospital. That's hysterical. Like,
yes, the birth of Mr. Sacco.
Yeah. Another thing, the birth, like you say that in a sentence, it's just like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
It makes sense, but you're
of course. Yeah.
What? And then the other one is the supermarket fight against Booker T. Hysterical. Another thing that still holds up today. Like I can still watch it and still laugh my ass off because it's fucking classic.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And then there's just it just keeps coming. You float. The more you're sitting here thinking about it and the more you sit quiet, you think like, so then it's Kurt Angle and Jimmy Crack Corn and like all those things with him and that whole run.
What?
Yeah.
The what?
Exactly.
It still lives today.
Yes.
The things that he's done is still living today. Not for the right reasons, but it's still like he might be the most iconic personality.
See, we did this before.
We did this with the Rock. I'm talking within wrestling.
Okay. I got you.
Not as the.
So do you think he has passed? Well, probably because of behavior alone.
Do I think
helps?
I think he passed Hogan a while ago.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's not because of
out of ring within the wrestling community. I think because the old timers were still sort of young during the Stone Cold, and they still jumped on that fucking bandwagon too.
Yeah,
and his legacy has lived on longer than Hogan's. I think in the main eye of wrestling fans.
I don't know. I think it's rough because Hogan has a lot more wrestling fans behind him with decades. So the 70s and 80s, he has all those fans.
Yeah.
And for instance, the last time
a lot of those fans are they're dying off though.
Well, I give you that. But the last time we saw Hulk Hogan in front of a crowd we were in that crowd, and that pop didn't matter what the age group, it was a pop no matter what. But if Austin would have came out,
it would have been louder.
It would have been louder.
Louder.
But that's because I feel like Hulk Hogan is oversaturated with WWE, period.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. If Austin shows up anywhere in a wrestling, I think he out-pops Hogan. Anywhere in wrestling.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I just think within the wrestling community, I'm not talking about the grand scheme of things, because I still think The Rock holds that. But I think Austin within the wrestling community, and that's it. But I mean, his mainstream too, because people that used to watch it still know Stone Cold. They still know Hogan too, and they know Cena, and they know The Rock.
Yes,
like and they know Flair. That's pretty much your Rushmore right there. If you talk to people, like I don't know who you take off, or you just add another head to that Rushmore. But if you're asking people, casual people that don't watch anymore, those are the names that come up. I don't know if you can put that could be your casual Rushmore.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one.
I mean, there's other people that would probably mix in there. Like Taker would probably mix in there a little bit, but not as much as the other ones.
I was going to say, I think your five are about dead on. If you ask random people, do you know what professional wrestling is? And I bet you
could show them pictures of people, and the pictures that they would pick out would be those people that I just named.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
So who the fuck was it?
It was Flair, Austin, Rock, Hogan,
Cena.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. I think that's
and
your
you
five.
Interchange that fifth one in there, and he would fit in there.
I think less people, random, regular people would pick Taker.
Yeah, I think that's
I think Flair, though, Flair is so all over the place. Rock, Cena, obviously. And then
I think most people in general pick out The Rock.
Yeah. Well, of course. He's the biggest superstar in the world.
That's what I'm saying.
Period. Yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, yeah, I agree. Austin in the wrestling community, I don't
think there's anyone.
And I think
bigger.
he outpops Rock.
I think so
because
too.
Again, I feel like The Rock, even though as great, is oversaturated. Exactly.
And he came back and he was never done because of injury.
Mm-hmm.
He was never done because he lost a step or anything like that. If anything, he gained a bunch of different steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, he became a monster.
Yeah.
But Austin, he was cut short. He kind of left, and you still felt like he could go. So Austin, and this will lead to my next very good segue.
Done on accident.
My next topic about Austin, I just recently watched something where he had Heyman on Stone Cold podcast, and they were talking about Brock Lesnar and how if he were to step foot in the ring with Brock Lesnar, does he think he can beat him? And obviously Austin's like, yeah, I mean, Lesnar's a beast, but if he steps in the ring with Stone Cold, I'm beating his ass.
Mm-hmm.
So that led me to think, like, they never had anything like in that. If Lesnar would have showed up maybe 3 years prior.
Well, remember, he didn't want to work with Lesnar.
Yeah,
that's why he took his ball and went home.
Yeah.
Because he thought it should have been booked differently and built differently. So that's why he left. And then, I don't think he ever – it took him a while to come back, and then he finally came back. And by that point, it's completely different. Yeah. So what, we're seeing the dream matches that never could have been?
Or that never happened.
Yeah.
Not never.
Well, couldn't have been. Sorry, I really fucked that up.
Really fucking depressing.
Sorry.
So died.
Lesnar and Austin?
Lesnar, if you were to do Prime Lesnar and Prime Austin, how would you book that? One was the most over person in the world, and one couldn't be beaten.
What's Prime Lesnar? What Lesnar are we talking about? Because I don't think 2002 Lesnar is prime.
I don't know. He stayed prime for a really long time. You're talking.
I think honestly,
2000.
I think more mature Lesnar now. I would want in the ring with.
You're
Stone
talking
Cold.
Post UFC Lesnar.
I'm talking right now.
You're talking
Lesnar.
Lumberjack Lesnar.
Yes, because Lesnar has never been as smart, as entertaining, as on point in the ring, and even out of the ring without Heyman.
Yes, but if you're taking now Lesnar, that Lesnar's beatable. So if I'm taking Prime Stone Cold, he beats now Lesnar. I'm talking the next big thing. I'm talking about he comes in and he demolishes. I'm talking about the Lesnar that killed Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
You put him in the ring with Prime Austin. Who wins that one? How do you book that one? You have the most over baby face and the savior of WWF on one side, and then the next big thing who is supposed to dethrone everybody. He beats Hogan. He beats The Rock.
I think you just answered your question just by building up their nicknames.
Because you think we're talking no one beats Prime Austin.
I know. But
does Lesnar
so if you're going storytelling, the first thing
you're going changing of the guard.
You're going, okay, you look at both guys and go, okay, what can we work with? You're the next big thing. You're the Texas Rattlesnake who's the top guy, but you're the next big thing. Okay, we're going to work with that. I think you go Lesnar over Austin. And yeah, if he's the next big thing, Austin definitely does the job and makes sure he's the next big thing.
So what are some other Austin? I don't disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how things should be booked nowadays, but aren't necessarily.
True. Yeah. The next one, I'm going to state the very, very obvious here. And it's only because I just want to hear them talk shit. And that's Stone Cold versus CM Punk. And I'm talking Money in the Bank.
Pipe bomb,
CM Punk. Because I don't think CM Punk now, he's lost.
You're talking Prime Punk versus Prime Austin.
Exactly.
That would be very entertaining.
I just want to hear the shit talking and then just the beating of the piss out of each other.
Yeah, that's basically what it would be.
Because
that would have to be like an unsanctioned match.
Exactly. And I think that's a more interesting booking. Like Lesnar and him obviously would be interesting. But I think
that would be
because
incredible. That would be
Punk.
That would be interesting.
Is more of an everyman.
Yeah, and it would be more even.
Yes.
The story you'd have to tell with Lesnar and Austin is Austin would have to continue to do that thing where he doesn't quit.
Yes.
And he keeps getting beat down until finally after like 12 F5s and God knows how many other,
and a lot of blood.
Yeah, and a lot of blood.
Yeah.
He just finally passes out.
Mm-hmm.
To like, oh, this was before he did the Kimura lock, but
but then with Punk, you're telling completely different.
I think Austin beats Punk.
I think Austin beats Punk too, because I think you're dealing with versus a baby Austin.
Not only that, but Punk never hit the level and never was going to hit the level of Austin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting what matches Austin of all people. Like, who could you run against? Because he was it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who could you run against him that would at least put some interest behind it?
Other than that's the thing is it's looking and trying to pick these other people that maybe these
and that's not to say because he had great feuds with Mankind, Dude Love, like the Three Faces of Foley. He had great feuds with, and he wasn't like he wasn't like megastar.
And that's the thing. It's all psychology. It's how they're going to work together. I mean, that's why I think a lot of people.
Okay, well, here's a devil's advocate.
Uh-huh.
Would you say that this incarnation of Roman Reigns is his best?
Without a doubt.
Book this Roman Reigns, the head of the table. Let's say Roman beats Rock and is now the head of the table and is now legit. Now he's the top. Now he's the absolute tippy top of his game. Then you put him in there with Austin. Because now you have the same thing where you're trying to create a megastar. After you beat The Rock and become head of the table,
are we bringing Austin out of retirement to face Roman?
No, we're calling it what it is. Top Roman, which if he beats Rock eventually and becomes head of the table, that's top Roman versus top Austin. First WWF champion, Austin.
No, you feed Roman, you feed him to Roman Reigns. You have to.
And Roman beats Austin.
You have to.
So
honestly,
Austin doesn't Austin would pretty much run through everybody nowadays.
Yeah.
Prime Austin would pretty much run through everybody.
Yeah.
So you're saying the next top star in all of wrestling would have to be Roman Reigns?
It has to be.
Like, who could?
It honestly has to be.
Could you do a Kenny Omega angle against Austin? It doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
I mean, look.
He don't work.
Roman has finally gotten so comfortable that it's effortless on the mic now.
Not only that, but he wrestles a similar, he wrestles a WWE.
Exactly. He's not the cookie cutter. The cookie cutter style.
But it's a storytelling style. It's not a storytelling style with moves and whatnot. It's a storytelling.
No. Yeah, I'm not saying that in a bad way.
If you were to run against a fucking Kenny Omega or something like that, that's not fun to watch.
I feel like Kenny could
Austin's not taking a reverse Rana.
No. But I feel like Kenny is good enough. He could make it work.
Against Austin?
Against Austin, yes. Now, the build would probably suck. Not for Austin, but because Kenny is so uncomfortable on the mic. And
it's a clash of mentalities and styles.
But Kenny is way too good in that ring to think that he couldn't put a match together with Stone Cold.
It would have to be a gimmick match. Even in Austin's best. There would still have to be some sort of weaponry. There would have to be an equalizer. Kenny's too good of a wrestler.
I feel like the Stone Cold wrestling is vastly, vastly underrated.
Maybe. No. He's not on the same level as Omega.
I'm not saying he's on the same level as Omega.
Omega would have to decrease to put on a good match with him.
Not by that. Not by a lot. Not like
Look at his last matches.
I think you're underestimating peak Stone Cold, honestly.
Yes, but his athleticism wasn't as good as even a Hangman or a Bryan Danielson.
I get that, but the athleticism that you're thinking of, you don't absolutely need. It could be a completely different style match. Because I think if Kenny is as good as we have seen him be, and if he is the greatest wrestler in the world. I don't disagree with
that, but I feel like it wouldn't be. I feel like it wouldn't be Kenny's best match.
I would love. All right, so in my head, I'm hearing Stone Cold react to you talking shit that he couldn't sit in the ring and wrestle Kenny Omega.
I know he feels like he. I mean, they would have to put together a masterpiece.
And you don't think?
It's not like I don't think. Stone Cold's thing wasn't in ring.
But that doesn't mean he was a slouch. You look at when he did the work as the ringmaster. The match that he had a Clash of Champions against Steamboat in '94 was ridiculous. And Ric Flair still, to this day, says when he watched that match, he was pissed because he knew he had to follow that. Ric Flair was pissed. He had to follow Austin and Steamboat, and that's before Austin was even...
Yeah, well, he's always pissed when he has to follow Steamboat, but he's not in the ring with Steamboat.
And granted, it helped Austin to be in the ring with Steamboat, but I think you're vastly underrating his wrestling.
All right, so there's still very few people on the list today that
I agree with.
That would be a dream match.
Yes, I agree.
I'll give you the Omega. You've talked me somewhat into at least watching it and appreciating it. It's never going to happen, but still. But, I mean, who hasn't he wrestled in? Like, what about Orton?
That would be
Legend Killer cool. Orton. Or what the hell was the best?
I think you hit it.
Legend Killer?
I think Legend Killer, because you talk about most vicious, cerebral, everything was done with a purpose. The storytelling.
It would be like being in the ring with fucking Triple H.
Yeah.
That would be a really good match. Orton, Austin.
I think it would definitely.
How many fucking false RKO stunner combinations would we get? And how's Orton or Austin catching one or the other in that move?
And there, look at that. Just like that, you immediately establish the story right there. There's your story going in. You know what I mean? Now it's, all right, let's build from here.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
That would be a really good one. I think Orton's vastly underappreciated in general. As his whole,
like an overall body of work.
Yeah, well, like when he goes down, when his career's over and he's done, like he's not going to get looked back upon like Triple H and Michaels and all them. But I think he's right there, if not on top of some of them.
All right. Edge above or below Orton?
Below.
I
think Edge,
Guerrero, above or below?
Tough one. I don't think it's fair. Orton's got a much longer resume. Unfortunately,
you would have to average it out.
I'd have to average it out. Match quality goes to Guerrero and probably Edge, but I still think Orton he's better. Like I just feel like Mike and storytelling and he's got it down to a science. Like.
Mm-hmm.
He can do anything with anybody and put together.
Case in point, Riddle.
Yeah. Jesus.
That's literally the only reason I'll look in on Raw is because of RK Bro, by far. Because they just
Orton's very old school.
Yeah.
But he's a light year ahead of Cody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Cody's really good, but
yeah,
he learned a lot of that from Orton. He's got a lot of Orton type mentality and tendencies, except with this whole fucking Homelander thing he's got going on.
So I did want to say, I have never been happier that Cody Rhodes has won a title than I was.
Really? You don't like Guevara, do you?
No, actually, I've come around on him a lot since they first started.
But why did you? Why are you so happy that Cody?
Because I just want him to stick it up all the fans.
Oh, so
I'm going what you did with Flair and with Reigns a year or so ago when everyone was done with them and hated them. And you actually started to appreciate it. Now I'm going to Cody and I'm going, everyone doesn't want to see him win. Now I want to see him. I want to see him win.
He's a very interesting character, Cody. He is playing this character where he thinks that he's doing good and he thinks that he should be appreciated for it, but no one's appreciating for it. Like he thinks he's the good guy in this scenario.
Mm-hmm. And he's and not only that, the whole tongue-in-cheek turning heel thing is what really makes me happy about it. Like, it's really, I like what he's doing.
Yeah,
like I like I'm never turning heel. I'm always here for you. I created this company for you.
He's legitimately Homelander.
Yeah.
He is Homelander. Exactly. He watched The Boys and was like, man,
this is it.
This is great.
Yes.
So he's literally riding that character, and it is really good.
It is.
Like, I don't like him, but I do in a sense. Like, I know I'm not supposed to, like, I feel like that's the way it's supposed to go. Like, come on, man, you're a cornball and you're not doing it. You're doing this for yourself. Stop winning the titles. But I know that's the reaction that he wants. He's good at the psychology of wrestling.
Look at that match. He pulls out a sledgehammer, throws a sledgehammer down, and he pulls out the golden shovel.
Yeah.
Like, right, like he's literally showing you his hand. He's showing you what he's doing. It's right there. And then instead of beating Guevara and trying to hit another crossroads, he puts him in it under his legs, hooks his arms, and then pulls him up for the package pile driver instead. But you know what everybody was thinking. He's doing this, he's going to hit the pedigree. Yeah. He lifts the arms, and that was it. So, like, I've instantly turned, as soon as he came back, I instantly was back appreciating Cody Rhodes for how good he actually is. And not only that, I might want to mess with some AEW fans and like to see them bitch. Other than that,
I don't like to see any fan bitch because it really is pointless.
Yeah, because it's fun. It's entertainment.
You're watching it and you're bitching about it. Mm-hmm. Now, don't you think that they want you to do that sometimes?
Yeah.
It's not like you're turning it off. They know you're not turning it off. They know the viewers that they have are not turning this off. No. They're excited to watch it.
Absolutely.
And they're excited to see, hopefully, Cody lose, and he's not doing it.
No. Instead, he wins another title.
And not only that, you're getting MJF and CM Punk, and you're getting a lot of shit and you get Bryan Danielson and fucking Hangman. A lot of really good storylines developing. Mm-hmm. I mean, now you have fucking Undisputed Era potentially versus the Elite. Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It is literally, and I tweeted this out, it is literally old school or OG fucking NXT on steroids is what they have going on right now.
Yeah.
With Sting.
With Sting.
With Sting and Arn Anderson at the helm.
No, you're right.
That's definitely not OG NXT.
No.
OG WCW. It was the NWA days.
But I saw that tweet and I was like, yeah, absolutely. I see where you were going with it because that's what it is. It's like everyone that they hoarded WWE that they eventually had to let go. Mm-hmm.
They made a name. They made a name for themselves. They did. They made a bigger and better name for themselves in WWE. But now they're utilizing that. Now they have that big name, and now they're doing it in AEW. Like, I know it's not. I mean, I know McMahon's thinking is like they're popular, yes, but they're not the level of popularity that I wanted them to get to. That's why I let them go. Like, they're not at like he fucking seriously thinks about things like how it used to be.
Yeah, always.
Like that's why he's never going to let go of Lesnar. Never. Like he loves when Lesnar comes back. Lesnar brings views.
With Taker.
Well, yeah.
If Taker didn't want to stop, he would have kept
he's never
him out there.
He's never going to let anyone get to that level.
I know.
Or at least multiple people.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But they'll never get to that level in AEW either, though.
That's true. That's true. Because, I mean, there are limitations.
Wrestling's just not what it was.
No. No, you're not getting 6-7 million people watching wrestling on a Monday night.
That's a shame.
No, I agree. I think it was better when there was that. And that's the thing. We didn't even be able to interact with that many wrestling fans.
To find a group of people that enjoyed wrestling when you were a kid and just stay within the parameters of that.
And that's what confuses me because, I mean, look.
Now you have it at your fingertips where you can find wrestling fans anywhere in the world.
The amount of ratings that come in for all these weekly shows. All of them, right?
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, WWE is usually 2.1 or something for SmackDown, or even 1.7, I think. They're now
really low for Raw.
And then, really low for Raw.
Coming to Philadelphia soon.
AEW's around 9 to 1.2. Like, they're back and forth.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 3-4 million fans.
Yeah.
There was double, if not more than that, in the 90s. And you could never run into a wrestling fan. Now, I run into more wrestling fans in our area, just like someone picking up on a shirt or something like that.
Yeah, it's usually merch.
Than we ever did as a kid, and there were double. I don't understand how that even happened.
Because they were embarrassed to be wrestling fans. Now we're in our 30s, we could give a shit.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
Like we're living out how we wanted to dress in our teens, but we get made fun of for liking wrestling.
Unless you were going over a friend's house that actually watched it.
Yeah, or family members.
Or something like that, yeah.
Wherever you're going, because that's what my family grew up on. Like all my cousins loved wrestling. My cousin Jason, who's 5 years older than me, stole my username and password for my WWE account to watch. I think it was when Sting came back. We're a fucked up family. It's not doing it. It's like $10 a month. You make more than I do.
So after all of that, we hope you enjoyed our list of Stone Cold, the essential 5 matches of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And some extras.
And, of course, everything that followed. We will be talking to you very soon. We hope you'd enjoy. Thank you again for watching, and we'll talk.